All right. Hi, I'm Jackie Gardner. I'm your science TOSA for San Jacinto Unified School District. I'm really excited to share with you about our current curriculum for science, which is STEMscopes. It is mostly online. So when we pop in as teachers, perhaps maybe the website might be a little overwhelming to start. So I'm going to take you through it. What I'd like you to notice is when you first log in, if you are on the Scopes tab, you should have access to everything more than just your grade level. This could be some pros and cons. It might be a lot for you to look at, but at the same time, if you need to do any sort of intervention or acceleration, if you have students who came in and they're lacking some skills, whether they're from another school district or if they're coming in from another class and for whatever reason they missed a few concepts, you have access to all those prior years. So that way you can back them up, do some intervention work. If you have students who are accelerated and ready to move on, you can jump ahead to maybe some standards in the middle school or beyond, depending on which level you're looking for, to accelerate their learning, give them some challenges. So before we dive into the scopes, what I need you to know is that they are set up with a very special model called the 5E model. I'm going to go ahead and pick sort of a middle of the road grade. Let's go with fourth grade. That way, if you're elementary or if you're middle school, you can see a little bit of the setup. So let's pop in here for fourth grade. We see that there are segments. Those are like our unit overlooks. If we pop in our segment, we'll see that we have our teacher guide. We have our 3D interactive assessment that models the state CAST testing. So if you want to run your students through sort of a simulation, you can come into our segment and look at our assessment and find our 3D interactive assessment. So if this, let's get this to load up, you can kind of get a view. If you're not already familiar with the current CAST, you should know that it is definitely a digital test, and students are going to need to be able to use those tech tools to share what their answers are. Sometimes a student might be able to explain their answer, but may not know how to input it on the computer. So it's good to have them practice these. So you can see it gives them a scenario. They have some drop-down options, and they go through a few different questions. So it gives them a pretty good chance to really practice these. All right, I would like to go back out so we can just look at our whole grade level again. We have our segments, which are our units, and then we have our scopes. Those are our chapters. So each of our scopes will have a full 5E model, which means there are engage activities. These activities get students using those prior knowledge, gets them talking, gets them interested. Explore activities are your hands-on activities. Depending on what prior knowledge your students come in with, they may not have a base foundational knowledge to really talk about the content. So if you do these hands-on activities first, at least everybody will have a shared experience that they can relate back to as they learn the vocabulary, as they read more about the content. They'll have that concrete example that they can refer back to. Then under our explain, we have activities such as our STEMscopedia, which is like our text. If we look at our STEMscopedia page, we have our text that we can read together or we can print out. You can also find it in Spanish. So if you want to switch it over in languages, you click that. And we now have our text in Spanish. Some other really neat text options while you're reading, and if you have students log on, they can read for themselves. You can make the text larger. You can make it so it's playable, so you can click play and have the students hear it aloud. They have this neat little dictionary function, so if I click on this to activate my dictionary mode, I don't know if it'll work in Spanish, actually. Let's see. Will it work in Spanish? If I want the very first word, imagine, imagina. Yeah, maybe not in that version. Let's see in English. And then, of course, you have your print option. So with these files, you can do it digitally or you can print it out for them. Elaborate. This is where we're going to find a lot of activities that have to do with other subjects. So we have our math connections. Notice that they are leveled. We have A, B, C. Also with our reading, we have A, B, C. They're leveled for different skill and ability levels. So you could assign them to students and have them do the same project, but at whatever grouping level you decide to put them at. There's also Science Today that shows how this is applying in the real world outside of just their text. Some career connections. PhET simulators are great because they give another interactive chance without having to do a whole lab setup, and students are able to jump on their computers and try that out and interact with it. And then a scientist spotlight. If they want to see a specific scientist who has done this before, they can go and see what their work and research is. Under our Evaluate tab, we have our claim evidence reasoning. We have our open-ended responses. We have our multiple choice. This is where we have our different assessments we can choose from. I highly advise the CER, the claim evidence reasoning. It really asks students to talk about why they chose a certain answer. And then, of course, intervention, we have some extra practices, which I think might just be useful to have some students study up before your major assessment. And then acceleration, if you're looking for just some extra activities, if you have some extensions with some, maybe an honors class or some students who need some more challenges, you can explore that. If you're looking for books to add to your classroom library that are on topic, they have a list of books on topic and it sends you straight to the Amazon page so you could purchase them if you're interested. These are not STEMscopes books. They're simply books that were selected that matched along with the learning. And you have science and art. Always fun to bring in that full STEAM aspect: science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. So we have some options for them to just explore the learning again with a different modality. Something I want to share with you, and this is a document that is available on our Power Schools page. This is the essential components of a scope. If we are using Engage, we should try and do at least an investigative phenomena and a hook. If you have no other time, at least try and explore activity, at least one. Get your kids doing something hands-on. Give them an experience they can share together. For the explain and the content, at least read the STEMscopedia with them. That is our main text that has our content. In evaluate, I would choose at least the CER. I recommend at least that CER because then you are definitely getting a chance to have students defend their opinions with evidence. And then perhaps maybe choosing one of the assessments will be helpful. There are a lot of activities available in STEMscopes. If you get them engaged, if you give them an experience that they can explore together, if you give them the base content, and then have them look at a situation, have them apply their new learning, and get them to support it, to write about it, to talk about it, then you're really going to have students who can really think and apply these sciences rather than just talking about them and remembering them for the test. All right, I hope that helps. Feel free to contact me at my office or my email for more information, but enjoy, and I can't wait to see your kids learning more science.